I was rejected, and then I applied this year and I got accepted. So what it means is you never have to give up.
Exactly.
You know, that doesn't stop me from doing what I was doing. I was always trying to do my part at the level of the university, at the level of you know, civil society. I was doing my best. So probably they recognized that, or I was just simply lucky also. But I applied once, I was rejected, and then I got I applied this time and I got, so 2 times.
Okay, so meaning you are trying to tell young people out there that Yali is not just one try, but you can do it over and over again. You can do it once, twice, thrice, and then you can do it. That's what you're trying to say.
Sure.
These young people should not give up, because sometimes people like me, when I do something once or twice, I tend to give up. But then doing it over and over again shows that determination. Yes, let's talk about some of the qualities that you possess, Musa. It's very important, because I'm not asking you this for you to brag, but this is reality. We have to talk about some of the qualities as an individual that you feel that you possess, to the extent that this application was successful. Because when you're doing the Yali application, there are certain things that you have to pen down about yourself to show them that you need this platform, and when you go there, you prove yourself. So what are some of these qualities, Musa? Help us with them. I would love to know.
So for me, it's very difficult to talk about myself.
Yeah.
What I prefer is, you know, when people assess me, and they will tell me, this is what you have, this is what you can improve on, and it's very important, you know, as a young person, you know, to really accept people critiquing you, so you could learn from that. But to your question, I will try as much as possible. So for me, the most important quality, it's, you know, the ability to get, you know, things done, you know, beginning with a vision. You know, getting things done is something that I consider myself to really, you know, have the ability to do. When I set out for something, for instance, I try as much as possible and I get it done. So part of, you know, the things that probably, you know, people see in me, and I've gotten some feedbacks, is that, you know, I make sure I get things done. That is, for instance, there are so many instances that I can give. But for example, at the level of the university, when I was voted into office as the information minister at the Students' Union, you know, before then I set out a plan that I wanted to achieve this and that together with the team that I was working with. But I made sure, together with my people, that I achieved at least 60% of that at the moment, and still continuing. So at different levels as well, when I set out something, I always try to achieve it. And that begins with, you know, having a vision for whatever you're going into. That is passion for what you're going into as well.
Passion.
So yeah, the passion
very
is
important.
Very
passion
important.
Is very important.
So it's very important in whatever you're doing. You're either in or out. That's something that I do. And I'm very straightforward as well. I like this and I'm there. I don't like it and I'm there.
Okay, so you feel that those are the specific qualities that really mean
that I can talk of. So the rest, I think my colleagues will be able to assess better.
They will be able to assess better. Yes, Musa, which track did you go for? I'm sure it's leadership.
Civic leadership.
Civic leadership. I'm sure everybody knows the leadership aspect. Musa, why did you go for civic leadership? Because I know entrepreneurship is there and the list goes on, but you decided to choose civic leadership. Quite obvious question though, but then people who are watching do not know who Musa is, so it's very important to explain these things. As I said before, it's an inspirational moment for myself and young people who are watching out there.
You know, there are many ways that people can contribute to national development.
Yes.
So for me, I find myself in the civil society sphere. There are some young people that are into business. That is how they can contribute to national development. There are some people that are into public policy, that are interested in policy making and government work, etc. That is how they think they can contribute. What I think at this point is I can contribute better when I'm at the level of the civil society. And I work with some quite a good number of civil society in different capacities. So that is why I chose civic leadership. So the general objective is to build your capacity. Very important words there. Building your capacity in terms of the ability to understand your environment that you work on, you know, being able to, you know, to read the dynamics of how things are trending, etc. So that's what really motivated me to go for the civic leadership.
To go for
and for me, I think it's the best.
The civic leadership is the best. So
for me.
Okay, before going to Yali, is there any difference before going to Yali, your perception of leadership before going to Yali and after Yali, in terms of what leadership means? I want you to give me this comparison to be able to know that Yali really had an impact on you. Because you went for civic leadership. For instance, those who went for entrepreneurship, their perception of entrepreneurship before they went and after should be different. They should know more about it. So now that you've gone for civic leadership, give me the comparison. Before you went to Yali, your perception of leadership. And now that you are a Yali fellow, how do you view leadership as an individual?
So, I've attended, you know, a couple of leadership trainings within and even outside of the Gambia. You know, I've attended a few trainings. But for Yali specific, I can tell you, anyone that has been there can tell you that it's been in fact impactful, and you come back more motivated with more knowledge. For my case, it's not entirely new things that you learn. It's about the environment that you learn it and the new knowledge that you learn in addition to what you already have. This is what makes the difference. So before I went, you know, I understood, you know, the simple definitions of leadership. Obviously, I've been a leader in some sense, some degree. So I had some experiences. But once you are there, the kind of facilitators you meet, the kind of participants that you meet, you know, these are young people with double master's degrees in most often, especially from Ghana and Nigeria. Very young people are at the same age as us. They are having double degrees. Already they've done so many things. And so you learn from these people. You learn from the facilitators that are experienced, very experienced people. So these are, in addition to what you already have, you know, takes you to an entirely different level. And so when you come back, you have a different perspective.
Yeah, but Musa, tell us now, like in depth, the perspective. There must have been something that you learned that is kind of different before you went to Yali, and now that you are a Yali fellow, how you view leadership.
You know, before going, most of us, you know, the leadership was viewed as just being in front, you know, and that is occupying the front seats. You know, and you are there, and there is a program, you are called to give a speech, and that was all to leadership and motivating people, etc. But once we were there, you know, we were taught that leadership, it's about ability to inspire people. It's about functions. It's not about positions, it's about functions. So if you are in a group and there's a problem that pops up all of a sudden, you are able to respond to that, you know, come up with a strategy, you know, come up with something that you can surmount that immediate problem, etc. You consider to be a leader, you know. And leaders, they are different. You can lead in different aspects. We have leaders, religious leaders, we have political leaders, you can be a leader in different senses. If you're someone who is innovative enough, you're a leader in that sense. So if you bring in something new, you are a leader because people look up to you. You are able to do things. You are able to set goals. You achieve them, and so there are many case studies, etc., that we did. So
I believe it's a different perception.
Yeah, it's obviously you will have a broader view of what leadership is. You know, because some of us are very young, and there's still experience that you really need to have so much experience. Experience in itself, it's knowledge in itself. So the fact that you even travel outside of Gambia, it's knowledge of its own. Meeting different people, it's something else.
Musa, I was going to come to that. Although I'm not done with the leadership yet, but then the issue of meeting different people, I know it must have been a very, very good experience. Meeting different people from Nigeria, Ghana, having to mingle with them. How was that experience?
It was amazing. I was seeing my brothers, different brothers, how do they say it? My brothers and sisters from other mothers.
Yeah, from another mother.
I've traveled to Rwanda, so I've seen my brothers in Rwanda, and I was proud to be with them. And I've been to Ghana, and I've met with brothers and sisters from 9 West African countries. It's amazing. I see myself in all of them, and I see a lot of similarities. I see a little bit of differences in terms of language, in terms of choice of food.
Those are just language
barriers. Minor differences, but in general, we're all the same people. I'm seeing the same people facing the same political problems, facing the same economic, social problems, you know, having the same, you know, so we are all having the same direction in terms of motivation to make a difference in our countries. I see a lot and learn from, you know, some of their experiences. It's amazing.
Musa, you talked about political difficulties just now. You talked about economic difficulties. Just a follow-up question. You went for civic leadership for the Yali. 3 weeks of intensive training on civic leadership. Let's talk about our African leaders. I think it's very important now that you're equipped with your leadership skills. Let's talk about how you see African leaders, because often when I talk to young people and I tell them slavery is what really affected Africa, they tell me, no, Jaina, but what really affected Africa is our leaders. It's our African leaders, although there's still neo-colonialism, but then our African leaders have to adjust. So how do you see African leaders in general, and where should they take Africa? How should they behave, you know, now that you have been trained in leadership?
So you cannot divorce colonialism from where Africa is today, my opinion.
Yes, Musa,
you know,
I agree. Yes,
okay.
I agree that colonialism.
Yeah, so we agree. We both agree on that.
No, colonialism, it's an established fact that colonialism has affected, and we must accept that neo-colonialism is still in existence, although it's debatable. But then somehow this excuses, Musa, we have to put aside.
Okay. I totally agree with you. So the point I was striking at is, you know, you cannot divorce present learning and the second. So it defines our language. Me and you, we are speaking English, which is not our mother tongue.
I know.
All right. So it defines a lot of things. The kind of education system we have, which is terrible. I would want us to talk about leaders model themselves. I think at this point, an average African is between the ages of 19 to 23. How do they model themselves? How do they harness this number of young people to achieve their goals? They mustn't think of themselves. Okay? They divide us along political lines, along ethnic lines. They know this divide and rule is something that really works, to be quite honest with you. So they know in every country you'll have the majority language and the minority, etc. So they come along those lines. They divide the people. You have series of conflicts. I can name you know, several African countries where you have these ethnic tensions. You know, you have corruption in the midst of all of these things. It's just people, but when you have a majority of the people not understanding how the politics works, it becomes a problem. Majority of our people are not, you know, the kind of political system we have is difficult for even, you know, educated people, averagely educated people to understand, more so majority of the people who are schools. So it's very difficult. So how should our leaders, in my opinion, how should our leaders behave? They should put the people first and not be afraid to lose elections. Do what is right. You could do things today. People wouldn't see it today, but people celebrate you next 10 years, 15 years. But what I see is people would implement projects today that are very short term, very little impact, and people would, you know, celebrate them because that is their understanding that, you know, leaders, we owe them gratitude. We don't owe our leaders gratitude. What we can celebrate them. Thank you for implementing this, but we pay them tax. They're using our resources. And we voted them. We gave them mandate, and we defend them. So what we expect from the other side is for them to give us the services. Let them uplift the ordinary Africans from poverty. Except that it's God's creation, and I have a bit of difference from you by language, by food, by etc. Otherwise, we are all the same people. And if you were born, for instance, in the midst of the forest, I was born in the middle of the desert. If we meet, what would you call me, a Mandinka or Fula or Jola or Sere, etc.? No, so these are things that we learn, you know, and we are indoctrinated sort of into those things. So I think it's high time that Africa moves, and it's the leadership that can do that. So you agree that, although, what about the colonialism aspect of it? There's this debate. Sometimes you hear young people debating about it. It's not about the colonialism aspect of it. It's what's happening present day with our leaders. So a lot of young people that I have conversations with, they tell me that these leaders are really concerned about their pockets rather than what they have to achieve for their subjects. So if you are into leadership because you wanted to upgrade your standard, you know, fill your bank account with money, you'll do anything. And even if it means going to beg, or even if it means doing whatever you have to do, working with multilateral corporations and companies at the detriment of your people, you would do that. So in that aspect, some people might call them neo-colonialist, people might call them greedy people, corrupt people, but however nomenclature you might use, the thing is, it's just terrible that you have to be in a position where you have people dying. In all African countries, you see poverty. You know, you see poverty, people struggling, you have malnutrition, you have war. Most of the time, thanks to terrible leadership, And you might call it neocolonialism, you might call it whatever you might call it.
Viewers, just to give you a quick reminder that you're watching the Youth Dialogue right here on QTV. I have the Yali Leadership Award winner here, Musa Balde, with me, having a very successful discussion. Yes, Musa, we are still on the leadership aspect. Let's bring it down to the Gambia as the Yali Leadership Award winner. Let's talk about present-day government. Let's talk about our leader, President Adama Barrow. According to the Afrobarometer research survey, it is said that President Adama Barrow is the most trusted leader in the Gambia. So how do you see that? Do you think President Adama Barrow is the most trusted leader in the country, considering the fact that he has signed with the coalition that he will serve for 3 years, and now the tables are turning about concerning trying to serve for 5 years? As a person who has just been in Ghana, 3 weeks of intensive training on leadership, we are still on leadership. Let's talk about Adama Barrow's leadership in terms of an individual, you know, having to sign 3 years and now saying he has to stay for 5 years. He's not saying it, but then signs are portraying that this man wants to stay for 5 years. Let's discuss that.
So I haven't read the Afrobarometer and what it details, how was it conducted, etc. Although I know some few of my friends that were at some of their engagements, etc. But what I can say is I still believe that some people trust the president. In fact, I can say majority of the people still trust him. So the issue of the 3-year, 5-year, my opinion has been that...
Your opinion as an individual.
Yeah, my opinion has been that, you know, let's allow the 5 years to go, and then we can talk about something. But within the 5 years, it's a constitutional requirement that is 5 years, not 3 years. So the constitution supersedes any other agreement that the coalition or any other party must have had.
When they were doing that particular agreement, they knew that the constitution was in existence, and the constitution says 5 years.
Yeah. So they knew it, but whether they knew it, they didn't knew it, they neglected it or not, but the constitution still speaks louder than any other agreement or them knowing it or not knowing it. So we are talking about the constitution and what it says.
Yeah.
You know, Section 4 says the constitution of the Gambia is the supreme law. Anything that contradicts it is void. So, and this Section 4 is a very powerful section of the Constitution of the Gambia. So, for me, even aside from the Constitution, I believe that this is a transition period. At this point, what the government should be doing is to make sure that they have a level playing field. Let them put back all the institutions to work, strong institutions, very strong, vibrant, that they are devoid of a person overseeing everything and making things work other than him not working. This is one thing we have to put aside. We used to have that here. Okay. You understand? I don't need to go into details. But institutions have to come on board. Institutions have to be functioning, and systems have to put back to work for the next for the 5 years. Okay. So after that, whoever wants to contest, you can contest, and it's expensive to to conduct elections. So that we have to also know. So let's wait for 5 years. Whoever wants to contest, let them contest. I might contest.
I know,
I'm just joking. So whoever wants to contest, let them contest. You know, and let the Gambian people speak. But let the 5 years be a period of work. Let people stop doing political activities.
Okay.
Let them stop thinking about themselves. Let them think of the thousands of Gambians that are going to bed hungry. They don't have good mosquito nets. Malaria is killing people. You know, simply avoidable, preventable diseases are killing Gambians much as other Africans, but these things have to be avoided, and that begins with work. Gambians have to start working. Let's do more of work and little of talk.
Yeah, Musa, you were saying that because of the Gambian constitution, you want President Adama Barrow to stay for 5 years. But then now give me an assessment so far of his leadership. Although people give me the excuse that it is a transitional government. So far, what do you think he has done so far within this small period that makes you believe that, yes, this guy should not go no matter what? He has to stay for 5 years to complete work that he started, and the list goes on.
But what I can say is it's high time for work, and let him work harder together with the government. It's not about one person. I have posted on my WhatsApp status that vote 1 million presidents in Gambia, it will not bring us the kind of development that we want in this country. It's about a system. It's about the people, ordinary people. So most of the time we are always focused on the leadership, forgetting about the followership. And these two make the development.
But Musa, I don't know if you know, but then sometimes the leaders themselves sometimes contribute to how their subjects behave, like it or not.
I agree. So, and also sometimes you have the followership influencing how the leadership behaves.
Quite true, but then... Okay.
So the institutions like National Center for Civic Education and other institutions, civil society included, we have to start sensitizing people more. We are doing it, but I think we have to sensitize people more. For instance, a lot of people, misuse, abuse democracy. And
I was going to come to that, still on the leadership.
Yeah, all of those things. And we have people that are sending voice messages, voice notes on WhatsApp and social media, insulting other tribes, insulting political parties, individuals, etc., etc. So these are all misunderstandings of how a country should be. So people have to understand, first of all, how a state should be run, so that you wouldn't see a president going and you are busy shouting or etc., or glorifying or calling a president a semi-god, etc. It's about a system. One person cannot develop Gambia. Until people realize that, we will always be stuck there. It's not magic, it's work. It's the institutions, ministries, satellite institutions, including civil society, schools, as all of us, universities, all these stakeholders are what develops a nation. You need quality students to graduate from your schools. Primary school, high school, universities. You need the ministries to work hard. You need... When you go, for instance, to get your papers from the immigration, they should work hard to give it to you. You don't have to pay extra. For instance, you don't have to, when you break the law, you should go to court. Or no one should accept a bribe. So these are the things, our grant at the level, what do we do to ourselves? Before you point fingers at the top to the president, before you get to the president, there are so many, the structure is in such a way that it's the highest there. So before we reach that level, let's look at ourselves, evaluate what do we do to each other. You have people that sell drugs. You welcome people into this country that sell drugs. Yourself, you litter the streets. You are in a vehicle, you throw a banana leaf that you've eaten. You insult people.
Individuals
assess yourself.
That, citizens themselves.
Let's assess ourselves.
Should be responsible
enough, and that informs in many ways how our leaders behave. Professionalism begins with ourselves. Because our leaders come from us. So most of the time when you discuss with people, they'll tell you, our leaders are bad, they are corrupt, etc. Which I don't disagree. But let's understand, let's accept that, these are people that are our fathers, our brothers and sisters. They come from the same homes as us. And how do they become those despotic leaders? How do they become those greedy people? Ask yourself that question. If you are there, how different would you be? At this point, how are you modeling yourself? So we must ask ourselves, within ourselves, you are in an institution and you accept bribes. You fight people. People are supposed to be at the top. They are at the grassroots. You are stamping on them. They are not growing as they should. You undermine the efforts of people. We are fighting amongst each other as civil society. Gracing each other's occasion, we are not doing as enough. When someone is succeeding, everyone is pulling
duplication of effort.
We are pulling each other. So at our level, and we are the same people that are going to the top to become president, ministers, ambassadors, etc. So we are not doing the work at this point. How do we expect that once we are there, we are going to work, collaboratively, and we are going to synchronize our efforts? It's not going to happen. We have to put up work. The countries that have developed, it's not out of talk that they've developed. It's not out of criticizing leaders that they develop. It's out of hard work. It's out of hard work and education, knowledge, and accepting tolerance, divergent views of our different. We have differences in geography, in color, in language, in looks, height, etc. But all of these things make us strong. Working together makes us strong. But we have to assess ourselves. Very important before we talk about our leaders.
Anyway, yes, I think Musa here is saying that citizens should take a look at themselves at some point before they try to attack leaders up there. Musa, I totally agree with you that citizens too, their behavior counts towards national development. But our leaders up there, I say this again and again, not just Gambian leadership, but global leadership, African leadership. African leaders should take a look at themselves at some point to be able to take Africa forward, because the corruption is one problem. The corruption, Musa, is something that I say here over and over again. Some people tell me, Jainaba, why do you emphasize corruption on a youth platform? I tell them that we focus on 15 to 35 years. Anything that you talk about, young people have a stake in it, especially corruption. We've seen that most of these the ordinary session, most of the topics were based on the UN ordinary 63rd ordinary session. Most of them were based on corruption, and they are putting young people in the forefront to fight for corruption. So when I saw the Afrobarometer survey say that most Gambians believe that corruption is declining in the Gambia, I'm like, okay, that is Gambians' perception. What is your perception?
When you look at the literature and the books, you know, and what is there, and you look at the realities on the ground, there's a big disparity. You know, when I read in some of the legal documents that bind the ECOWAS and African Union, free movement of goods and services and here and there. So if you only stick to that and you go to the realities on the ground to move from one African country on ground, not by flight, but on ground, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So what you see in the papers and what happens, so I have little reason to believe that, you know, to believe in some of the literature that I can read from the papers, from the newspaper sector. But what I can say, corruption is a big, big problem. It's a big Not only for Africa, but for the world. You know, we see terrible people, terrible leaders, whereas they've amassed resources for their individual interests to the detriment of the people. So you have to understand that $1,000 is that you've stolen from a project or whatever is affecting someone.
Obviously.
If this is a road project and you've taken even 5%, it means that there are going to be accidents on this road that you are going to be responsible for. Okay? So this is where I think religion comes in. So if, for instance, I believe that there will be a day of judgment as a Muslim, you know, as a Christian, I believe that there will be a day when I will be brought, you know, to face the realities, then held accountable, then you wouldn't do that. But for the sake of politics, and the institutions have to work, institutions that are to hold, you know, the executive, the judiciary, and all people within the state accountable must be functioning full time. You need an independent judiciary that would be willing to, you know, use the laws to prosecute people. Very independent. And then you have the checks and balances within the state. Those things are what, you know, can prevent or can at least minimize corruption and all whatnot. But now, role of civil society comes in again. We have to be watching. The role of the fourth estate, arguably the journalists and the media, comes into play. Let's vet them. Let's watch our leaders. Not only our leaders, but then we have businessmen.
Musa, what about setting up an anti-corruption commission, an independent body responsible for controlling corruption in the country? I think before going up and down, using the judiciary and the list goes on, having that is perfect.
I think you've interviewed me once concerning on the anti-corruption commission. Well, I have read it in the Constitution of the Gambia, but I have never read of a newspaper where it was launched, or this is the office of the Anti-Corruption Commission, etc. It should be in place. It should be. Because in countries like Nigeria, for instance, you know, their commission is doing very well. Commission, I can't remember the exact name of it, but something related to anti-corruption, which is fighting against corruption in Nigeria. They're doing very well. You know, they're doing very well, and other countries as well. I
think we need it in Gambia here.
Most definitely.
If we want to prove that, because according to the Afrobarometer, corruption is declining in the Gambia. So I think that is also another place. Having an anti-corruption commission is something that we can also use to assess
to hasten the situation.
Corruption is really going down or not.
Even 1% corruption in a state is terrible.
It's terrible.
So whether it declines or it's increasing, we need a commission. You not only need a commission, but we need more journalists, you know, on the ground watching and, you know, really investigating what is happening. We need the institutions like the police and all other apparatus that are used to investigate, you know, the corruption, etc., must be functioning. Really them redouble. When I watch the commission, Jane Commission
of Inquiry,
okay, the commission, for me, you know, we could have done so much as a country. I cannot understand that this was the kind of money that exists in this country. I'm not blaming anyone, and I'm not preconceiving any notion that this is what who is blamed or whatever. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, with the kind of amount of money I'm hearing from that commission,
I know, Musa is like
and where we are, you know, it's a big problem.
Sad.
We've always, the argument has been, the point of view has been, we don't have money, we are underdeveloped, so let's go and beg, etc. But with the resources that we have within, what I've had, you know, it's just something that we should have been somewhere else, you know, compared to where we are.
That is why I say leaders have a very, very big role to play before looking after their pockets. Let them look at the people who are behind them, people who voted them in. That is one of the most important points. I think it's enough with the leadership aspect of it, like Gambian leadership, African leadership, or globally. Let's go back to the Yali Award. Let's talk about, now that you've gone to Yali, Musa, now that you're back, I know there's this portion in the Yali application where it says, when you come back, what are some of the things that you want to implement in your particular community? I know, of course, the application has that part where you talk about what you have given to your community as an individual. But now that you've gone and you're back, Musa, what is the plan? And Musa, remember, this is the youth dialogue. When you tell me that this is what you will implement when you come back, I will bring you back here, or we will go and see what you are trying to implement. So just make sure what you're about to tell me is what is something that you is something that you can implement. But anyway, we all know your capabilities as an individual, and I know you will implement.
It's amazing that you are saying this, and I'm proud. You know, I'm proud of you, to say the least. We have to keep people accountable.
Yeah,
I was just saying that
you have to be accountable.
I was just saying that a few moments ago that we have to start with ourselves.
Yeah.
So your civil society, you think you are not accountable, but government is accountable.
Exactly.
That is not how it works.
Everybody should be accountable.
It has to be, you know, we have to use the same yardstick to measure everyone.
Yeah.
Fine. So the post-training, it has components. You have a mentorship program. And that is fixed for all people that have been through it.
Okay.
And then you have community service or what is it again? Internship.
Yeah.
Exactly, internship. So we are doing, as a group, we are doing community service.
Okay.
But post-training, as an individual, what am I going to do? There are so many plans.
Okay.
At the moment, I am focused on, you know, completing this semester, because I lost some good time and I have to recover.
Exactly.
I'm struggling. But post that, I think I'll just have to continue with the good work that I'm doing. Let me say something.
And what is that good work we want to know?
Okay. I contribute my quota. I write articles. I work with civic society. I mentor young people.
Yeah.
And I'm involved with youth organizations in different work, community service. Prior to traveling, I've traveled, I think, all the corners of the Gambia. You know, I've been to all the way to Basse, almost very close to Koina, you know, in different parts of Gambia.
I think, I'm sorry, Musa, I think that is one part that is very important in terms of Gambian youth. I can remember one time I invited Lala here, and she said, it's not difficult to just pick up your bag and go to rural Gambia and then mingle with these young people and see what they're going through. Most of these Gambian youth do not know their country. They don't travel. They're just stuck in the combos here. They have to go to Basse, they have to go to Soma and other countries in other regions of the country so that we get to know what is happening there. And then at least, if we should have a conversation with somebody from somewhere else, we can have something to talk about as young people in our country. But just being at the combos here and we don't know what these young people are going through over there, I don't think that is what we call activism. I don't think that is how young people are expected to behave. So I think the fact that young people have to be traveling to different regions to get to know different regions, I think that's very, very important. I know for us too, due to certain constraints that we have, we cannot always go to the provinces to host youth dialogue, but we will try by all means, Musa, to be going up country to host these young people more and more and more. And I know if sponsors are watching and maybe they might be interested to see rural Gambia, rural youth, to see what they're capable of. Youth Dialogue is always open to go to rural Gambia to have conversations with these young people, because I believe that it's important, and then they are part of young people in this country and they are capable as well. Yes, Musa.
I totally agree with you. You see, you must know your environment that you're working on.
Exactly.
And I can tell you, with the interactions I've had with people in this rural community, there are young people doing amazing things.
Yeah.
Trust me. You know, we've staged a drama poetry competition somewhere in LRR.
Yes.
And with the kind of performances that we saw, it was amazing. You know, it says a lot. It says that wherever you go in Gambia, you have it. There are young people that are doing amazing work in terms of agribusiness.
Yeah.
They are doing employing people. There are people doing innovation that are doing small community projects. But these things are very impactful and are doing some positive, changing lives in their communities. So you really need to connect with them, because ultimately our objective is the same. So working together, collaborating with them, you know, only hastens, you know, the impact that we're going to have on the people.
Yeah.
Very important that we go to the provinces, we interact with them, and even within, you know, we have to work as youth organizations, like the 16 days activism. It's always a proud period for me. I was involved last year, and this year also I'll be involved. Friday and Saturday we are having an activity with the Network Against Gender-Based Violence. So that is when you see young youth groups coming together to do things, and this is the goal. This is what should happen. It's not about, you know, individuals taking credit or youth organizations different taking credit. You know, we're all trying to work towards the same goal. So it's important that whether a youth organization is in Basse or Koina or SAU or Patong, we all have to work together, help each other in different ways that we can help each other.
I always say this, Musa. I believe that young people, if they have more support, young people can do it. Young people can't do it. Look at Talib Bensouda. He's the mayor of KMC and he's a youth. I believe that someday Gambia can have a youth who's a president. I say that here all the time, and when I say it, people laugh out loud. I'm like, you guys, this can happen. It's possible.
Well, what we've had previously was that, okay, the last president was a young person when he was coming to becoming president. And Mr. Barrow is not an old person, in my opinion. And it's one thing to be having those people, young people, to be in the leadership positions. But at the back end as well, what we do is more important. That is where we can even achieve more changes. That is where we can grassroots, you know, communities. This is where we can make more impact. For me, you know, in the communities, I can do more work than when I'm a ceremonial person, like a president. You understand? Because then you are restricted to official duties, you're in office, you're in a convoy, etc., etc. But majority of us cannot be in that place. So majority is in the backdrop. That is, majority of us are in the grassroots and in the communities. That is where we can make impact. And that is where our focus should be. You know, helping you wherever you are, whether you are a mechanic, whether you are a teacher, whatever you are working, you are a serviceman, wherever young person you find yourself, that is where you can contribute to national development. And no matter how small it is, whether you have a radio program, look, like yourself, you're still at the university, but you're still making changes by bringing to platform young people that are doing amazing work. That is how you're contributing. And I'm sure you can do in many ways as well. And wherever you find yourself, whatever limitations you have, you can still contribute to national development.
That is why I say this is the safe space for young people. Just the last time I was having a conversation with Alma Mital, and then he's like, I feel like you Dailogue, you can discuss everything. I'm like, we discuss everything. We discuss politics, we discuss economic, because these young people, 15 to 35 years, they are basically everywhere. So we do not restrict ourselves here. We discuss basically everything. Yes, Musa, for motivation purpose, talk to young people about the application process, how it works, how to go about it. Because I know the 2019 application is going to open very soon. And I just want you to make a small clarification for me. There's this rumor going around that Yali, after 2019, there will be no Yali. How true is that? Can you help us?
Okay, I want to say something about
when I have questions in relation to that.
Okay, you were mentioning that you discuss or cross-section of issues, politics, etc. So why should you discuss that? Because all of these things, whether it's politics, economics, the decisions that they take or they don't take, affect us directly.
Young people are human.
We are the ones taking over. All young people. We are the ones taking over in whatever capacities. Some as president, some as businessmen, some as servicemen, etc. So whatever decisions have been taken, you cannot devoid yourself from politics, because political decisions affect us directly and indirectly. And in the future, they are the decisions that we're going to build on.
And Musa, who knows, maybe one of my guests for you, Dailogue, will be the next president or will be the next vice president.
Oh, you should be the next president.
And then I'll be the individual's press secretary. Okay, that is just a joke. Let's go back to the application process.
The application.
How it works. And then the clarification. Is it true that Yali is stopping at 2019? Is that true?
I doubt. So someone asked this question in one of our sessions, because I've also had it when I was going. But someone did ask, I can't remember from which country, but the person asked Sola, Auntie Sola, who is the director of the program at Jimpa. You know, she said it's not ending now.
It's not ending.
It's not ending 2019.
Thank
God. What happens is the period for this phase. The cohort, I think they were targeting 4,000.
Okay.
So now they've exceeded even 4,000, which is a very good thing, and it was celebrated.
Okay.
So they're having another cohort, they will be selecting another cohort in January. But after that, I think they will be having cohorts. But I think they will be assessing, they will be coming to evaluate how far has the project gone, the outcomes, results, etc. They will be doing an evaluation. But I don't think it should be stopping.
Okay, viewers, young people, your question has just been answered. Musa said it's not stopping. This is just the first phase of the Yali. So prepare yourselves, prepare your applications, prepare your essays. It's not stopping anytime soon. It is going to continue. So which is very, very good news, because it's a rumor going around within young people that I have to do my application fast because Yali is stopping 2019. So Yali is here to stay. You can apply for 5 times, Musa, and then
the objective of with the objective and the kind of transformation that it has, the potential it has, it shouldn't stop.
It shouldn't stop. I don't think so.
Even if the donors that are currently funding it stop, it means African leaders, if they are really serious about African youth development and African development, they should invest to make sure that it's sustainable. And the people that are working there, amazing people, you know, if you interact with them, you realize they are very amazing people and are interested in advancing the cause of Africa. They are putting in measures for the sustainability of the project.
I think the Yali Leadership Fellowship should be sustained.
Because the people have seen the impact it has.
Take a look at Gambia, for instance. Look at Aissatou Bokum, and the list goes on. All of them are developing. And then this Yali gives you that confidence when you come back. It gives you that confidence as an individual. And I think this should continue over and over. Although, as African countries, we have to remember that we should try to have fellowships in our respective countries as well. That is very, very important, because it's not everybody that can travel for these fellowships outside. Look at the University of the Gambia Leadership Fellowship. I hosted them here. And then they gave me very, very successful stories. I went out to interview them as well. And they told me how the University of the Gambia Leadership Fellowship has impacted in them, and some of the impact the entire fellowship has registered. So I think having fellowships in our different countries coupled with the Yali Leadership Fellowship is one thing that is very, very important. Quickly, application process, very important, very, very important.
Okay, so the application comes out, and it's through...
When is it coming out?
2019, that I'm informed of. 2019, January.
Yes.
January, there will be a selection. So, you know, the application should be displayed on the various social media. It is sent, and you can visit their website as well. You can have the form there. So my advice would be just remain yourself. Don't exaggerate anything. Just be honest to yourself what you've been doing. Tell them what you're doing honestly. What can you do, and let them really judge. Let them select.
I think that is a very important point. Tell them the reality.
The reality is on the ground.
I remember Aissatou Bokum telling me, right from your heart when you're applying for Yali. Do not fabricate anything, because at the end of the day, when you go there and interact, mind you, I believe they will know that this particular individual was fake when it comes to the application.
It's not about the titles, it's not about the names, it's not about the accolades, it's not about the awards that you've won. It's about the impact that you're able to make. You know, that difference that you can make. And everyone can assess you honestly. And you know, if you stay with people for 1 week, they should be able to know what you can. They should be able to assess you. And then the Yali is not for traveling sake. You know, that is something we have to, it's not just to travel and get things. You're going there to learn. You're going there to have experience and come back and impact in the Gambia. So I'm wishing all the applicants, all the people who are aspiring to be Yali fellows, a very, very big good luck. You can go there, represent well, like Musa represented well, to be able to get this particular award that he got. Congratulations once more. Due to time constraints, final words. All right, I must say I'm very thankful to the RLC team in Ghana. I want to thank them sincerely for giving us the opportunity, and I want to thank my Gambian team. Team Gambia did really well, and I must say also that I was not the only one who was conferred an award. One of our team members, Gian Gomez, also got a prestigious Yali Spirit Award. Which is a very important thing I have to mention. And the team did very well, I can tell you, and I was really amazed with the talent and the potential of young people, not only within but also from the other 9 ECOWAS countries. I have to hold this award again, but I made it clear that this award is not mine. It's this gentleman's award. It's this gentleman's award right here. Congratulations once more, Musa Balde. We are so proud of you. The team Yali represented very, very well. You've just heard it from the horse's mouth. And then once again, young people, it's opening 2019. Try by all means to apply. You can apply
100 times, get rejected, apply again, get rejected, and at the end of the day, when your time comes, obviously you're going to go. It's a very, very good experience, like Musa rightly mentioned. Due to time constraints, we have to, this is all we have for you in this edition of the Youth Dialogue. But I always remind you that Rugi's Creation always gives me this beautiful outfits. She is a young person, a very, very young entrepreneur. She's right there in Banjul. Her numbers are right in front of the screen. Take it, call her. She will prepare an outfit as nice as this or even better. Viewers, till I come your way next week. But be reminded that QTV is on social media. We're on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram. Follow us or like us to know what is up. Till I come your way next week. Bye-bye.